My discussion this morning, as Nancy mentioned, is been touted as the state of the county. I put a title of 2014 highlights. My goal being I want to review some of the things that have been going on for the last year, but also I'm going to segue then into some things we're looking at as we move forward. So I didn't know exactly how to couch all that in a single title. State of the county is great, but I will say my discussion this morning is going to have a little bit more of a focus on chamber business type interests as opposed to broader county type of subjects. So with that, I've got about 20 slides or so. Hope to be done about 8:30 because I know everybody has things to do today, but I'm open to questions either during my conversation or afterwards as y'all would like. I have a little bit more time if others want to stay around, but if you need to walk out on me, that's fine as well. I've had it happen before. So. Nancy mentioned my title, county manager. As you'll see here, I don't know if anybody's aware, but I used to be county administrator up until the election this November, and the public voted to alter our charter, changing my title. I don't know, honestly, that any of my duties, expectations, or otherwise have changed, my salary or anything like that. But it was to align, it was a recommendation out of our charter review committee, review of our local charter. They wanted to align my title with the title of those other 32 counties within the state, many of which are county manager. It also conveys just a little bit more direct type of involvement in day-to-day affairs as opposed to administrators. So that's my little plug. I don't think any of us can talk about the past year without focusing on the Smiths. This is a project which I think is going to have significant impact as we move forward. Already has had significant impact on our economy. But it was interesting, when I first came here a little over 3 years ago, this was the project that I was handed. We need to get this going. And there's been about several attempts, 8 to 10 years of efforts. Many of you, I'm sure, were involved in some of those efforts to get a new retail opportunity here, not just including an expansion of our grocery, but including general merchandising as well. And if anyone hasn't been over there yet, I'd be surprised. I'm sure many of us have taken a friend over there to say, look at our new grocery store, you know, something that not many people would otherwise do, but it is quite impressive, especially if you stand out on that deck and look towards Santa Fe. It's got one of the best views of any grocery store in the United States, hands down. But we're looking forward to some benefits there, hopefully to diversify our economy. Some of the benefits of that project, this was originally transferred land from DOE that the county operated as its public works yard and utilities yard for many, many years. It was a bit of an eyesore there on the side of Trinity. That's all now been cleaned up. We've actually traded land with the school system, so the school owns about 80% of the land that this project is located upon. The purpose of that was to create a revenue source for our school system, which has suffered due to the budget situation of the state. And that has allowed, they're now getting payments. It's already reaping benefits for the schools. The county is getting some of that lease payment. It is not owned land by Smith, it's leased. So to figure that whole project out took a little bit of time, but I think the benefits are going to pay off in the long run for sure. They are also not done. You've seen one of the outbuildings constructed. This project, we went through a number of iterations, but we had other developers coming in to work on this. 3 subsequent developers each backed out. Finally, Smith stood up and said, we want a new building. We'll become the developer. We'll take on the lease. And with it, the other requirements, which include an additional 60,000 square feet of other space available for retail. They've built about 10 now. You've seen those buildings right along Trinity. You've also, if you look around, will notice some of the unpaved areas are other lots that are intended to be future retail sites as well. So I know they've had a little difficulty filling some of those. I think their focus has been on getting their store up and operational to date. But look for some new things there in the future as well, as they are under obligations over the next 5 years to build out that additional, well, another 50,000 on top of the 10 they've already built. This is obviously not a county project, but a school project, Aspen School. And the neat thing as we look back over this past year is that we have locally had about $110 million of investment in new projects that we could denote through our permitting system and through the county expenditures. It's interesting that about half of that is private and about half public expenditure. It's not all the county going out and building new buildings. Obviously, the schools have gone out and done some things, but we've had a significant amount of private investment too, and I think that bodes well for the last year's activity as we're seeing some other entities invest in our community. Smith's was a big part of that, no doubt. But as we look at housing, remodels, all the other permits that we have issued, it's come out at about a 50-50 split. And we're usually pretty dependent on government investment in this community, so it's a neat measure for us to be aware of. Last year was the first year of our utilization of one of the county projects at Ashley Pond. And just this picture kind of shows how well that project was accepted. It's been a neat new upgrade to our local community, the center point of our community, but also we've started to see some other things built onto this. We've got a creative district that has been working to bring some new activity to the downtown area. I don't know if any of you have been to their Tuesday night concerts out at Ashley Pond throughout the summer months. We're seeing not just a Friday night effort, but other local organizations use this facility, and it's really become a nice highlight for us. I personally really like the stage being focused on where people sit. Previously, often the stage was set up and everybody was sitting on a tilted hill, and it's kind of difficult, but it's been well received, and just another example of some of the investment the county's been putting back into the community to try to move us forward and present a good face to any new businesses we potentially could attract. I have to admit, an unfinished project, but everyone's heard of this, I imagine. Over the past year, we've had numerous conversations with the ski club. They were having difficulty for prior times. The county was already working with them to try to develop an economic development plan, looking to assist them in developing their business. The ski club being a private club, operating privately owned land, about 700 acres of ski area up on Pajarito Mountain. It's always been operated as a club. It's been for the benefit of the members. Hasn't really had this primary focus on profit making, and so they've struggled over time as they've not charged to make money to reinvest necessarily, or have had difficulty doing so. And it's only been exacerbated by our weather lately, because they do not have any water source up there, permanent water source to make snow, and that obviously means they're dependent. We know today they're not open because they don't have the ability to make snow. So we were in contact with the ski club and trying to consider how we might assist them. They came to the point where they weren't going to be able to financially make it in the long run, and approached us about the possibility of the county taking over the ski area. At the same time, the Seepapoo group expressed some interest as well, and the membership had some concern, with both possible options. Should we let go of this resource we all love and have spent blood, sweat, tears developing over the past 70 years? What we ended up doing was all three parties got together and figured out a mechanism where our goal right now is to develop a public-private partnership where the county would own the majority of the land, the majority of the skiable area up at the ski hill, and Seepapoo will own the necessary area along the roadway and at the top of the mountain to have both a presence, an ability to finance their future expansions, and also then we can work together with the county operating similar to the Forest Service, which owns much of the land under other ski areas, to allow the local operator to hopefully profit. Now, there's been some efforts to try to get water up to the ski area. We did run into a few issues because there's Forest Service land between the privately owned land and ultimately what is lab land is the closest area on which the county has infrastructure for water. They wanted to bring a water line up there so that they could make snow, and we had an interest in furthering the abilities of our existing firefighting infrastructure up there. You may or may not be aware, but there's a tank that the county had installed up there for firefighting purposes, for structural firefighting purposes. but also the ski hill had built an open tank at the very top, which they were going to store water for snowmaking, but also it doubles as a water source for forest service. Forest firefighting actually was used during the Las Conchas fire for helicopters to obtain some water up there. It's kind of interesting. If you drive up the hill, you don't see any trees as you go up there. Everybody knows this, but you get to the ski area, and lo and behold, there's trees. The reason is, during Las Conchas, that system enabled our firefighters to stay up there and actually protect a lot of that area, including the ski lodge and the other various infrastructure. So it's already shown its benefits. We went to the state last year, received $375,000 to further invest in that system for our future. It was built upon firefighting, but has the ancillary benefit of snowmaking ability in the off season. So at present, we're still pursuing that. Weather got cold, things take time to the point where the project had to be put on hold for this year. But we're already very close to obtaining a permit from the Forest Service for a temporary water line. That temporary permit's good for a year. So at present, we're looking at the next cycle, the next season, to have this temporary line in, hopefully expand the ability to make snow, with the goal of finding a permanent source in the longer term. So I think it's benefited us. There's still some neat things to come. We have not yet fully executed all the documents to make that transfer, but that is an effort to maintain this important business here and hopefully attract people here in the long term. This was a bit of a surprise, to be honest with you, but we did receive, and I think it says a lot about the way we operate here within the county, and that was we received a designation from Google this year as the state's e-city. And it was a measure that Google has gone around. They make one award in each state. And it's a measure of the utilization of the internet for commerce. Now, if you think about our locality and the number of home-based businesses and the like that are here, it starts to make sense as to why we would have a high number of folks utilizing the internet for commerce purposes. But I think it also says a lot that Google recognized us, and it's something we can hang our hat on as we move forward to show the level of utilization, but also it represents the ability for people to come here and do e-commerce. Associated with that, the county has had a project that we've been working on the last year. Actually, the bigger project's been much longer, but of bringing fiber to the area. And we do have a little bit of a hiccup in that our pathway here, trying to find a mechanism to get across either Pueblo or Forest Service land tends to take a little bit of time. And we have not yet achieved that fully. We do have a radio link, in fact, 2 radio links, where we are currently have fiber to Pewaukee High School. From Pewaukee High School up to the hill, we have radio links to utilize that bandwidth that we have available. If we had a hard fiber pathway all the way up here, it would greatly expand the bandwidth we would be able to access. But that is presently being used for government purposes, for county purposes. Schools are tied into it, and we are expanding that into the business community. Since it is such a pricey project to actually take fiber to individual locations, we've looked at certain neighborhoods that we could take this fiber to initially. And the county council did fund $250,000 for us to develop what are known as meet-me points. They're nothing but, I guess the best way to say, is a place you can plug into to access the fiber pathway. This is a picture of the first such meet-me point, a groundbreaking for that, which we are doing down in White Rock, as we had a business that was focusing solely on this internet type traffic, needed a great deal of bandwidth, and the first such meet-me point is destined to be installed right down near, I think we're standing out in front of the pizza place right there. So by putting these various nodes, we've got 10 planned right now, both in White Rock and in the downtown business district. We're hoping to utilize the available bandwidth we have today. We don't have enough to just open it up to every household at present because we have not yet achieved that full fiber pathway, but that's our long-term goal.
You guys redid Central this year. Did you make fiber?
there is fiber in that area. In fact, it is already wired through there, so we did not have to put anything new in there. That was part of the prior project. Pretty picture here, right? Does anybody know where this is? It's right on the corner of Rover and New Mexico 4. It just happens to be one of our desires. We do receive land that's transferred from the federal government to the county, and the sole purpose of that land transfer arrangement is for us to be able to utilize that land for economic development purposes. Senator Domenici, back in 1995, pursued a bill to allow us to do this. We're still receiving property today, but this is one example. This was an old fire station at one time. It's laid fallow. We've used it for bus parking, for other things over time. There was a trailer barbecue place there for a while, if you remember. But now we have sold this to Del Norte. They intend to build they have a branch across the street. They're going to build a permanent facility on this site. Look, it's consistent with our White Rock development plan, and we're just looking to revitalize that corridor down there so that it looks like a community as people come and drive through there, and hoping to enhance the business opportunities there by doing so. We're in the process. The contract has been awarded. We're still working out the details now for the actual purchase agreement, but hopefully soon you'll see some development on this site. Similarly, in other parts of White Rock, I didn't have a picture here, but there's another parcel that y'all are probably familiar with, known as A19A. It's along New Mexico 4 between the existing visitor center and Pajarito Road, the entrance to the lab down there. It's about 60-acre site. And we put out an RFP for potential housing and commercial development in the area. We've been focusing on commercial. Let's get commercial down there. That's what people want. They want retail. What we've learned through the process are two things. One, the site has very significant underlying rock and therefore expensive infrastructure concerns. But two, the developers have told us, well, retail follows rooftops. We need more houses first. And there was a component of housing that was to be established, or we were hoping to establish on that site as well. We did receive one proposal with respect to some senior and or affordable housing on that site, and we've received one unsolicited proposal with respect to doing some housing projects on there. We're currently working with both of those proposers to try to achieve a coordinated effort there where the county can also assist with some infrastructure costs, hopefully to make this project come to fruition. So we're trying to get both of those developers to communicate both with each other and with the county as to their needs for infrastructure, and we're trying to determine where we can best invest the money that we've set aside to assist with that infrastructure so that hopefully both projects are successful. We're also going to the legislature this year to ask for further assistance from the legislature for infrastructure for this senior and affordable housing project specifically, because that's the type of thing the state can assist with under the LEDA Act, the Local Economic Development Act. So some neat things in White Rock. There's been some development over the past couple of years, but there's some new things to come. One other project in White Rock, this is White Rock Day, is the development of the new White Rock Library on the corner of Sherwood and New Mexico 4. That project will also facilitate some remodeling of our existing municipal building down there into an expanded senior center facility. So this next year will be one of some construction. It's already underway, and hopefully the opening of the library, as then we will move into the remodeling of the municipal building. This, anybody go to the recycling fashion show? That was an event we held this last year, but the point of this slide is we have also been expanding some of our services, and in particular the ability to recycle goods here. Over the last year, plastics, basically anything and everything from a plastic point of view can now be recycled by the county. We've expanded our glass program by accepting glass. We can't sell it to anybody, but we're crushing it and it's available for reuse. Makes for some really neat landscaping projects if you haven't ever seen any of those. But we've been basically trying to enhance that because at our location, it costs us so much to dispose of our trash. We had a landfill. It's now closed. It was on DOE property. It's now closed. We've reused it. You've seen the solar array out there. That's a neat part of it. But that means that we no longer have a place to dispose of our trash. We have to actually haul it off the hill. Santa Fe, for some reason, has an aversion to our trash. And so we go all the way to Rio Rancho, to their landfill. That's the closest we can go. And you can imagine the hauling costs. Our recycling effort is one to try to reduce those costs, because reuse or recycling obviously means we don't have to take that to Rio Rancho. And in fact, we get paid for the benefit of people come up and buy cardboard, well, to buy the plastics from us. So it is reinvested in that program as well. Not all of our projects, admittedly, are in the downtown area. We've had a number of street projects, and we continue to have them. We have an annual budget of, it varies, but somewhere around $3.5 million just to redo our streets on an annual basis. Streets break down over time. We did several projects. I know that the next slide everybody's familiar with, but we did, I believe, 3 different streets in the western area this past year. We have a program where we assess these streets. This next year we will reassess it. We do once every 5 years. We hire a company that has this outfitted van. It drives up and down all our streets. It has a number of cameras and sensors throughout the vehicle. Those sensors measure the gaps they see of any cracks, the ride quality of the roads. It looks at the curb and gutter, and then brings it all back in a video format, and they come up with what is known as a PCI index, a pavement condition index. We then rank all our community streets, neighborhoods and downtown, and put them into we're able to plan for replacement based upon that index. And so as we need replaced streets, we go out and do that. This is one of those examples of those neighborhood streets that were replaced over the last year. This other one was a very well-known project, I know. Downtown Central Avenue required rebuilding. There were a number of things we were trying to achieve here. You can see in the foreground the crossing. That was one thing. We had some trees that were getting older and impeding people's views. They were planted right by the roadside, and people standing there waiting to cross often couldn't be seen. This is also a well-used road and had what's called alligator cracking throughout. If you looked at the roadway specifically, you'd see significant failures of the road. In addition, the historic sidewalks were draining sometimes towards the existing structures there, and we needed to rectify that because it was causing long-term damage. So by redoing the streetscape, we hope to emphasize the downtown area, our business district, also make it easier for us to deal with snow and ice concerns during this time of year, and ultimately make the pedestrian and traffic travel safer throughout. So there was a major effort there this past year, and I'll tell you what, it was 7 years since it was done previously, and I think every time it's been achieved, I've heard stories of the consternation it causes. And I work under a state system. I have 8 years to go for retirement. We're not touching it. I'm sorry to say it won't be. This is another project we've got going, and this has been a long time coming. Everyone's aware we did tear down the old golf course facility as part of our capital improvement program. We had intended to replace it. It took a little bit of time to get it done. We did have some contractual issues with the construction company, but it is functional today. It is open for business. We've been utilizing, the pro shop has been working out of that area. But one of the neat aspects of this project has been a desire to have a new restaurant opportunity on that side of town. And so we've been working with and went through a proposal process. We have awarded such a lease to the same group that operates the Pajarito Brew Pub. And they're going to have a separate operation here. The lease has actually been extended. The start date is now set for February 1st. February 1st will not be when you can go in and get a reservation and have a meal, because they have to get some things in place, obviously. But they'll begin their lease on that date, and we've been working with them to obtain the necessary cooking equipment and the like that for their operations, which the county's purchasing and then leasing to them for their operations. So it's very close to fruition. And we've already had a couple of events out there. The patio and such have been utilized. And as I mentioned, the golf course has been operating out of there for several months now. So look forward to a restaurant that is just in a different location and another experience for everybody who lives and works here. Another new project. There's a lot of county has done a lot of construction over the past several years, and this one's very close to opening. I know the targeted date is Earth Day of this year. Now, there always could be things that come up, but that's the target. Right now, if you drive by it, you'll see it looks pretty close to completion. And this is our nature center. We have contracted with the Pajarito Environmental Group for operation of the nature center. We rebuilt the facility, and I will tell you, having walked in there, there's a great picture window looking out at the mountains, and that's going to be their exhibit room, and it's going to really enhance their operations. This can be a destination point, no doubt. It also, due to its location, is very close to the trails that run around that area, and it's going to be a great opportunity for them for their programmatic needs as they can do outdoor classes, interact with our trail system and others. Going to be a neat amenity for the community. Sometimes our projects are not as visible. Although everybody felt the pain of having the pool closed, I think if you go in there today, probably the only thing you'll notice that's different is there's now 3 big fans that rotate in the ceiling. That's because much of the work we're trying to do is maintaining our facilities for the future. And this particular facility, since it had been built over 20 years ago, we're still using the same HVAC, boiler, and other systems in there. And if you can imagine, in a humid, chlorinated environment, they had all degraded, corroded. We had a lot of trouble with those. And so we went in and replaced the boiler system, the filtration, the HVAC, all of which lend to the experience, but none of which are visible. So I think, again, we did add the big ceiling fans to facilitate circulation of the air in there, and that's the only obvious change when you see it, but we did invest over $2 million in that project, trying to bring it up to current standards. And it's now open and operable. Another neat thing that occurred, I mentioned the Creative District during the last year, and that is they worked with many others, and there's several people, Main Street and others, that have had a hand in our annual event, which formerly was known as the Next Big Idea. This year was known as Science Fest. It expanded from its weekend to a full 9 days of activities this last year. We're looking next year to maybe pull back on that a little bit. 9 days is hard to maintain, but still a longer type of event, but more in the summer. Over time, it's moved from July to September. We're looking at moving it back to July next year, and really trying to make it a signature event to attract people to the community. There's a lot of interaction with the businesses in the community, with the lab and others, that it's a great thing to showcase the types of activities that go on here in the community. And by putting some attention on that, we're hoping to grow it for future development. So neat opportunity and neat interaction between groups and pulling that off. Fuller Lodge, another project which we've been looking at maintaining. This being a centerpiece of our community, we have a 5-phase maintenance project that we're doing updates to that building. I think we're through phase 2 right now and looking at accomplishing 2 additional phases over this next 12-month period. To date, we've dealt with boiler systems, fire suppression systems, electrical within the facility. Again, not the real sexy items, but they're necessary for the long-term use of this facility. Our next project is going to focus more on the woodwork, preserving the integrity of the structure. And I don't know if anybody knows, but if you're standing right here, this is obviously the second floor of the building. If you were to turn basically right to your left, there's an elevator. Anybody ever been up and down the elevator? Probably wouldn't want. Yeah. Would you recommend it?
No. We actually had somebody get stuck in the eyes. It was awful.
So upgrades such as that for ADA accessibility and the like are part of this next phase, in addition to all the woodwork, just preserving it for the future. So we're trying to invest in ourselves. These are significant. We have a $2 million maintenance budget for all our facilities, which sounds like a lot in some respects, but if you consider the number of facilities we have and the age and where we are in their maintenance, it doesn't go very far, but we're putting $2 million every year towards that effort, and we're beginning to see some benefits from that. The pool was one use of that money. Fuller Lodge has been another significant use of that money lately. We also see a great need to work with our partners in the region. Not all of our employees, not all of us in this room may necessarily live within the county, but we do rely on people coming up here every day to do the work that's necessary and to partner with them to achieve the goals that we have. So this is actually a representation of, I believe it was a READY conference, annual conference. READY is a Regional Economic Development Initiative, something that was started 5 years ago by the county and several other partners to foster economic growth in the region. And this is one example of it as we're getting back together to report on those achievements and also continue that cooperative effort moving forward, because we can always go, and we've benefited from lobbying as a region much more lately as we go to DC instead of simply Los Alamos County going to talk to folks. When they see, we have as a part of this project, the county's also funded the Regional Coalition of Land Communities. And when we go to DC with 7 mayors and or councilors or commissioners from 7 different counties and cities across the region, they stand up and listen. Any one of us going just doesn't get quite the same audience as getting all of those partners together and with a common voice. So that has been a great effort. This is just the only picture I had. I don't know how else to depict it, but it's been a great effort to work together, and I think it's really built some bridges for us as we've gone to other national groups now. This same coalition, not only do they know each other and are friendly with one another, they've also expressed a benefit in being better informed about the issues that are facing the community, particularly the lab side of things, in comparison to their counterparts from other lab communities. So I think we've seen some great benefits from that. I'm going to switch gears. I know I'm running over already, but or my goal at least, and that is looking forward a little bit. It's now 2015, and we've just been through an election cycle. This is our newly seated council. We did have a little bit of turnover. It's always interesting in my position. Every 2 years I get new bosses, whether I like it or not. It's going to happen. And we had the majority of our council up for election this last year. Ultimately 2 were reseated, and then we have 2 new members to our council. Just a week and a half ago, Kristen Henderson was elected chair as we move forward. David Israelitz is now our vice chair. With that, I'm sure everybody's seen the news lately. Yesterday I canceled a contract for air service. I apologize. We want air service here. Things just weren't working with our present vendor. Now this is an effort we've been running since 2013. We did take money to actually subsidize such air service. We've spent over $500,000 subsidizing that air service to date, but well, just recently they've had their own internal issues that I won't get into, but we're looking to continue that type of service. It's been great as people come to do business with the lab, come to prospectively consider moving their business to the community. If you don't have air service, that makes quite the negative impression. Not to mention the fact that I love getting to Albuquerque in 20 minutes. I think that's really been utilized. We anticipated the majority of that use would be lab-based use. We oriented the service so that it would be actually cheaper than the per diem cost to get down there, which was a great benefit. But in reality, we had more private citizens, whether it's business or personal type travel, utilizing that service than we did specific lab use. Unanticipated, but it shows the interest in that type of service, and we hope to continue it as we move forward. You've also might have seen in this very area, here's some degraded pavement. We've been putting some money back into taxiways at the airport. We actually opened up all the area on the western taxiway and just replaced that taxiway in November of this year. So we're putting some money into the facility, looking to upgrade it for the future. Excuse me. As part of the Smiths project, we had a desire to extend our Canyon Rim Trail. And we have a number of trails in the community, yet probably the best used one is the one out alongside of 502 between basically our fire station and runs down to the area right across from Entrada. It's a heavily used trail. It's paved. It's one of the few that's paved and pretty much accessible to everyone because of that. We want to extend that trail all the way up to the hospital ultimately is our plan. And so as part of that effort, when we talked to Smiths, one of the requirements of the lease was to build a trail on the canyon edge. They built this trail, and it's then going to be turned over to the county. Now we've got a section of trail right along Smiths. We've got the area up to the fire department. We have obtained some grant funding and already have design approval for the trail between the two so that we can link up those sections. Ultimately, we'll then be looking at some of the privately held land to the west of this area so that we can hopefully link it up all the way to essentially Omega Bridge is what we'd like to do, giving a corridor that's off the street for use for walkers, bikers, and everyone else who'd like to get, let's say, down to Eastgate Pool or any other of those businesses in between. So it's one of the great things of having the viewscape we have up here and really put some attention to developing that type of trail system to attract others here as well. We have been working with Bandelier National Monument and we'll continue to do so. We just recently re-upped our agreement with them to continue the shuttle service. As you're probably aware, the county built 2 years ago the visitor center down in White Rock to cause people to stop in White Rock, hopefully spend some time there and money. I have to get on a bus now during the high time of the season and go to Bandelier. We have provided space at our visitor center, and in partnership with the LACDC, who operates the visitor center down there, they've been selling the tickets even for Bandelier. So that it's been a great effort there, a great cooperative effort to get people to stop in the community. And you go down there in the middle of summer, that parking lot's full. Everybody has to stop. It's very neat. I know that there's been significant impact on the businesses in that area because people are there. Oh, actually, we need more restaurants. We need more things to provide amenities for those people coming to town. And looking forward, we just extended that, hope to do it again for this next year as well. And then, this is the best picture, although there's many others we could have. Probably the biggest news, at least from my perspective, and I hope from many of the rest, is the recent announcement of the Manhattan Project Historical Park. This is a new National Park Service unit to be located here in conjunction with two other communities, that of Hanford as well as Oak Ridge, for a 3-site national park unit celebrating it, maybe that's the wrong word, informing people about our history. And one of the most significant technological projects, obviously, in the last century. So this is Ashley Pond, for those of you that are wondering. I'll give a little side note. Up in the top left corner is the only building that still remains. This, I believe, is a 1946 picture. But our community building, where we used to have council meetings, is currently being converted into a teen center. And that project's moving forward as well. So I was hoping to show two things. One, the teen center development is something that we're actively working on. But more significantly, I think, for our community as we move forward is going to be how we try to benefit from the establishment of this new National Park Service unit. I think there's some natural correlation with our existing park facilities. And there's also in that same bill the designation of the Valle as a national park unit too. So all of a sudden we're going to have 3 national park units here within very close proximity. I'm not sure of any other area that has that many in that closely knit place area, but we're hoping that this allows us to do a couple of things. Obviously, we have over 200,000 people coming to Bandelier already on an annual basis. We can get them to stay one night, one more night, to go do something else. That number essentially doubles. With the 3 park units, who knows what our potential can be. We're still working to develop that. We've had a standing committee. Heather's been a big part of that, looking to be prepared for this eventuality, and now it's finally come. And there's a lot of work to be done. How we capitalize on that will really influence our local economy in the next few years. And there's all sorts of questions, all sorts of things yet to be answered with respect to who can do what and what it's going to look like. I'm hoping we can actually benefit from coordinated effort in that respect. With all these multiple parks, do we need 3 parking lots? Do we need 3 visitor centers? Do we need 3 of these various things, or can we coordinate those? Presently, we've got a mix of locations. For Bandelier, obviously, the main issue interaction is down, not even White Rock, but 8 miles west of there. How can we make sure that those people stop through our community on their way to these various park units so that we can benefit, our local businesses can benefit, and we can grow over time? With that, let me just take a second. I don't know if anybody saw, we're just in the process of publishing, this is hot off the presses, first edition annual report. And in this are many of the items I've discussed today. There's copies over here for anyone who didn't get a chance to look at it yet. But if you look at it, it looks kind of funny because there's little things that look like they belong on the web, some sort of links here and there. This is actually designed to be an electronic document. And by the end of the day today, it will be up. It's that fresh, being that it's just January 15th, on our website. This being our website, please take a time to look at it. It's interactive. It's a great opportunity to learn a little bit more about what's going on in the county. I can only go over so much in my short time this morning. But this is our annual report. It's our effort to communicate these projects I've talked about today, as well as a variety of others that are going on at the county level. So links from this location to, help me out, Leslie?
We'll have a link directly
right off
on
the banner.
Homepage,
Okay.
but it'll also be permanently sitting under the county council heading under the planning for our future
Okay.
bar. But we'll have a web banner and a homepage link and a news headline, and then I'll have it up on Facebook by probably noon or so.
Okay.
As well.
So please do take the time, just additional information for yourselves. And with that, I'll stand for any questions you might have. Great. All right.